Michelle, it is so great to have you here. I am pumped to talk with you about FindMine today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the enthusiasm.
Let's dive right in. First off, let's assume there's part of our audience that maybe hasn't heard of FindMine before. So, what can you tell us about FindMine that is kind of the first step in someone just learning about the company?
Sure. Yeah, most consumers probably haven't heard of us. And even if you haven't heard of us, you might have seen us. So 100 million consumers a month see our content on websites like Gap, Lululemon, lots of different brands in fashion, home, and beauty, kind of our main verticals. And what we do for those brands, we sell directly to the brand or retailer. So we're B2B enterprise AI application. And what we do for them is we help curate their product catalog in a couple of different ways. We do it dynamically. So instead of having a person from the retail organization kind of come in and manually choose, here's the shirt and the bag and the pants that go with the jacket you're looking at. We do that dynamically. That's called Complete the Look. And it's just an easy way to kind of visualize the product that you're interested in buying in a way that you would wear it in an outfit versus it's kind of like seeing a mannequin versus an individual product on the rack. So that's one thing. The other thing that we help with the curation is around trends. So there's these kind of ever-changing trends on social media and in sort of culture. So how do you take advantage of mob wife, right? You would again have to have a human in your organization kind of hand pick individual products that kind of fit the mob wife aesthetic and curate that onto a page or into an email or put it into, social media post. But instead of having the person do it, our AI is doing it, and then we can keep it up to date for when things go out of stock or products go on sale and you don't want to mix sale and full price products in these stories. And there's so much complexity sort of that happens below the tip of the iceberg that the consumer sees that is pain and loss of money and time for these brands to actually make happen. So the consumer sees that kind of editorial shoppable content, and like I said, 100 million consumers a month see it. But really the value that we're driving for the brand and retailer is helping them do more of that at scale and in a way that unlocks additional revenue, additional customer loyalty, and obviously time savings.
I'm going to say something, and it's not in a bad way, because what you've kind of built here is there's a love-hate here, but the hate is not bad. You usually are spot on with the recommendations that are made, right, for these different things. So it ends up making it so that typically people end up buying, which is great for retailers, right? You end up buying more because you see all these different. I think that was in the past, you would maybe only buy what you needed and you weren't able to complete the outfit. So you'd either, get something from somewhere else or you would come back later and get something. But it's what you've built. So there's no hate, but it does end up making the person maybe get that extra item that, which is fine
I
because it
see what
completes the
you're
outfit.
saying. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
Which
think
is kind of a cool
actually,
thing.
one of the reasons I started this company was that the modern internet, or not even the modern internet, the internet, like e-commerce in 1999 when it was first created, it was set up to spearfish. So it is on you as the consumer to know exactly what you're looking for, type it in correctly, search through 15,000 options, and narrow down to the one that you want. And that's a sucky consumer experience. When in reality, what we as consumers need is we need to solve problems. It's fall. I'm getting cold. I had a baby 2 years ago. My body's different than it was, a couple years ago, and definitely than the few years prior to that. I want to look good. So I need some fall clothes. That is my need. I don't want to have to know that I need a pencil leather skirt and then type that in and then go through all the rigmarole and then figure out, okay, what to wear with on the top. I just want to get a couple of fall outfits. That's it, and move on. Or my soon to be 2-year-old's having a birthday party. It's a Cars theme. I want to not have to think about, okay, I need to get the tablecloth. Okay, spearfish for the tablecloth. Now I need to get some streamers and some decorations for the backdrop of the table. Now I need to get party favor bags. Now I need to get the stuff that goes in the bags. Just make it a one-stop shop. And so really by curating sort of by use or by need for the consumer, we're actually helping them not buy more stuff that they don't want. it's actually helping them get to their end goal faster. Because in reality, you're going to buy the same amount of stuff. You're just going to fragment your spend across Amazon, across Walmart, across Hugo Boss, across, whoever you shop from. And then how much extra time is that taking you as a consumer? And how much does that suck for the brand or retailer to not get a bigger share of your wallet? So everybody wins when you can help flip the script from this spear phishing to this shop by use or need, and just help the consumer get what their solve their problem faster.
Well, you end up helping them. Like, people want to make less decisions, right? The more decisions you have to make, usually something doesn't end up happening. It's what's that?
Paradox of choice.
Yeah, yeah. It's because you know when you're able to. Not everyone too knows what goes with everything, right? Like, unless you're a full-time stylist and you're staying on top of all the latest trends, how is someone gonna? Or you're reading every single fashion magazine, right? Of what's in, what's not, and it
Right.
changes so much too. So like,
Yeah.
how can anyone stay on top of that? So I really like that you're making these recommendations, and when you do that, it's shopping and stuff should not be a stressful endeavor, right? You should be able
Yeah.
to find what you want. So, at what point when you were building this, though, like, and you were looking at AI, where you're like, this just makes? Because I always say the best companies, um, it's not, it is not easy to do what they do, but when you see what they've done, it seems obvious, right?
Yes.
And so how do we, like, from what point did it seem obvious to you to build this?
That's a great question. And I think that's so true also. Like the best ideas are ones where you're like, why didn't I think of that? But the execution of it is incredibly challenging. So for me, it started in 2010 when I started thinking about, like, I moved to New York. I was living in California and I was like, it's cold here. And I came for business school and I used to be an actress. Like, I just had so many things changing about my life, my circumstances. Like, I need new clothes. And then I was like cherry picking or spearfishing. And I was like, this is time consuming and annoying. And I used to, I was 26 at the time. I used to have more time to like shop and just, I had less opportunity cost. And now I was in business school. It's like really stressful. I have all this stuff on my plate. And I was like, there's got to be a better way, right? And then I moved into 2 years later, I moved into a new apartment, my first like grown up apartment, and I'm getting this couch. And I was literally like cropping out like images of throw pillows in Word and like layering them on the couch to see how they would look before I bought these throw pillows. I'm like, I don't have time for this. Like, somebody has a better answer for like how to make my apartment look great and make it just easy and seamless. And so that kind of was happening and percolating for a long time before I even started thinking about FindMine as a B2B concept essentially. But when I really like had that aha moment, it was when we had conceived of the original kind of underlying concept of FindMine as direct to consumer, like a consumer stylist, beauty expert, whatever. And we were working on that. And I was part of this kind of like incubator program. And we were meeting with a bunch of brands, like brands and retailers. And they were all like, we have this problem too. Like, if we could better curate experiences, if we could make everything a beautiful window display or ad campaign for our customers, we'd sell so much more stuff. The customers would be so much happier. Like, and we would amortize the cost of like those expensive advertisements over way more revenue. So then like my CFO would be delighted too. So I was like, oh, I can solve the consumer problem by solving the retailer's problem, and then everybody wins. And that was really the kind of the catalyst for this is the vehicle to make those problems go away.
Now, you probably get this question a lot, but like, I'd love to hear your thoughts on utilizing an already built AI platform versus these retailers going out and creating their own AI platform.
Yeah, I think there's so much nuance to that question. It depends on what the use case is. So if you're looking at, help with product description writing, and you want to empower your merchants to do a better job at that, crack open ChatGPT and like give it a whirl. But when you're talking about your 10,000 product catalog, you're going to hit scalability issues. You're going to hit, from a cost perspective, you're going to hit context limitations. You're going to hit, you're going to have someone doing prompt engineering to sort of like chunk the data in a way that's consumable so you don't like max out. It just gets more complicated. So those are not use cases that necessarily I mean, that part of what FindMine does, we use them as like a means to an end for our software. But when you're talking about like actual like AI for brand asset creation, which is really what we're doing, we're creating things that are differentiating brands from their competitors. There's so much complexity in that, and the risk is incredibly high. Like 100 million consumers see our content, and 95% of those assets, those lookbook style guides, curated pages, etc., are produced in real time at the time of page load. So you don't have time to intervene and say, "Ooh, that looks weird," or you don't have the ability to wordsmith it and zhuzh it up before it goes live to anyone, like you might when you're using OpenAI to help you write an email, right? So the use case matters a lot. And then the other thing is, it's not just the AI models themselves. They're not even the hardest part. I mean, obviously there's a lot of technical complexity in creating models. So you'd have to have great AI researchers, scientists who cost like millions of dollars a year working for your brand. And is that feasible for most brands? Probably not. Maybe a Walmart, maybe a Nordstrom, that kind of thing. But for everyone else, not really. And then that's not enough. So your best AI scientist is not an engineer. They're not an architect. They're not going to be able to infuse the results of their model into the full orchestration that's required to actually carry it through. So yeah, they can give the answer to someone via a chat prompt like this outfit would look great together. This is on brand, potentially if you had the right AI scientist building the model. But then someone has to do something with that. Whereas what FindMine's doing is in real time, we are dynamically pushing that to all the channels where the products in question might show up. We are keeping it updated for stock, stock is not simple. It's not just in stock or out of stock. It's like available from and to, and this is the number of units available, and they're selling too quickly. They're selling not quickly enough. And so that whole orchestration and architecture and sort of coordination is what I see killing brands or any kind of enterprise who's trying to build this kind of stuff in-house, because they always only think of the model, and that's hard enough on itself. But then you invested all this time and money in making great models, and they go exactly nowhere because you didn't think about the rest of the ecosystem that needs to be produced. And that's why using, for many use cases, companies like FindMine is just an order of magnitude easier, because we built all that. And then we also update the models every 3 days when they change, because that's how fast it's changing, right? Do you really want to pay your highly paid AI scientists to stay on top of 60 different types of models when all of them are changing every 3 days? It's just Sisyphusian at some point.
It's super interesting. And you and I talked about this kind of a little bit before we started the podcast, but it's so cool when you can have a business like what you're doing that has like continuous impact, right? Every day, every week, every month. People, even if they're just looking, right? They usually don't go too long without looking at something in the retail space.
Right.
It's just a natural thing, right? You see something on a show, you go online, you go on a website, you start looking, you go down a rabbit hole typically, right?
Yeah.
And then hopefully you could put all the whole outfit together or whatever it is. Chances are in the past you couldn't. It would be very frustrating. What I would like to hear a little bit is kind of to shift focus. I would like to talk a little bit with you about the Human X conference, because I'm pretty pumped about it, and I've had so many great conversations with people that are going to be there. Would love to hear more of what you're looking forward to from this event.
Yeah, I think that it's very cool that it's like applied AI. The focus is really on the applications and like the use cases and the vertical specific elements. I think that OpenAI, Anthropic, some Hugging Face, some of these big companies like that are eating the internet and trying to approximate human general knowledge, like that had a huge wave. Like this hype cycle was massive and life-changing and incredible. I think vertical AI is right behind it. I think that is the next big wave, because what companies and users of these kind of general intelligence applications are realizing is that they're great for certain things, but they tap out very quickly when it comes to specific verticalized applications. And that's really where you need purpose-built technology. And so I'm excited and thrilled to hear about it. Like I spend so much time thinking about retail, but like picking my head up and hearing about how it, like what is the verticalized journey of these AI companies and the buyers of the technology in other industries, and where is there commonality in that, and then I can apply back to my business, or just what are some of the challenges that people are facing that are common, right? I think that's like not talked about enough, Because I think, for better or worse, like the media machine that we all are exposed to, it sort of like takes the headline, takes the kind of interesting use case, takes the deep fake dangers, to, takes the kind of most egregious hallucinations or the most sort of general, like painted with the same brush use cases, and that's what they talk about. They're not talking about like the real vertical specific, how this is changing everyone's like life from a consumer perspective, from a retailer perspective, from a I'm just trying to do my job perspective. And I think this conference is really going to dig into that, which is exciting.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. It's gonna be a good time. There's gonna be a lot of good conversations. Um, I go to a lot of events, but I feel like the content here, it's just like it's real content. Like everyone's gonna learn something from these talks. It should be a good time. Look forward to seeing you there. It'll be good to catch up in person, and
Yeah.
maybe we can do like an interview there. But um, super pumped in what you're building. I'm so happy for you and the team. This is awesome, and let's definitely stay in touch. We're gonna follow along with your continued story. But thanks so much for joining us here today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it too.